How's it going, YouTube? Path64 here, coming at you today with my Spellbook deck profile. I made day 2 at Nationals with this deck, and at the end of day 1 my card got towed, so I couldn't make it to day 2, unfortunately. Anyway, it's a pretty cool build of this deck, I think. I meant to post a video about it earlier after Nationals. Unfortunately, I had some computer problems and I couldn't really get it uploaded, so I have to make a new one now. I know it's kind of late, but hopefully you'll find some interesting stuff in here, like 3 Priestess, obviously, things people weren't really doing around Nationals, and I don't even think they're doing it now. But I'll lay it out for you, see what you guys think. Alright, here we go. I have to play 3 Priestesses. I really think Priestess is still necessary in this deck. The fact that she's a spellcaster and she's easy to drop, you don't have to waste your normal summon on her, I think is really essential. She provides a spellcaster on the field for Master or for Fate, and if you have her on the field, you can avoid having to search for Spellbook Magician, who is really easily veilered. Yeah, she's also a powerhouse. She makes the games a lot quicker. Time is just has been one of the biggest banes of this game, I think. This past format, just any matchup between Dragon Ruler Mirror match or Prophecy Mirror match or Dragon versus Prophecies, like in my experience, most of them go into time. It gets really frustrating. And Priestess, she's a heavy hitter. She makes the games go quicker. She also allows you access to Hierophant of Prophecy and Dracossack. Both of those are really important for taking out some really annoying back rows, like Imperial Iron Wall. A single Priestess can't deal with Iron Wall, and in a Priestessless build, there's not a lot of ways to get rid of the Iron Wall, save for fading it away when it's activated. So having double Priestess on the board, allowing you to exceed into Dracossack or Hierophant, allows you to get rid of the Iron Wall, and I think that's really helpful. Obviously, triple Spellbook Magician, nothing spectacular there. Single Justice, searching out Priestess and Judgment. That's another thing I really think is important about Priestess, is Justice. Because Justice searches you out another Judgment, and a singular Judgment play where you don't get to search out another Judgment at the end, it's kind of lackluster. If all you're doing is searching out Joudens and Kaidus with your Judgments, like, if you're up against Dragons, that's perfectly fine, but in this mirror match or anything else, if you don't have a Judgment follow-up play, it's really lacking. You don't get to do a lot during your next turn, and in this format where just card advantage and speed and all that good stuff it's just completely out of whack. If you don't have a Judgment play to follow up your first turn, I don't know really what I'm trying to say here. All I'm trying to say is that this second Judgment guaranteed second Judgment, I think is very important for this deck. So I think Justice is a necessary component, making Priestess a necessary component by extension. Sorry for that convoluted explanation. Double Taiku. Taiku is really solid card. Lots down the graveyard, prevents your opponent from being able to fake you, being able to Priestess from the grave, and Dragons from being able to remove anything from the grave. Taiku was a really solid card for me this event. He just dealt with so many problems. I won a game against won a match against a Dragon opponent because I pulled him out of a Judgment during the end phase, and that was GG for him because he didn't have a hand. Single Jouden. I sided my second one. Jouden is really annoying because he's always in my hands when I don't need him to be, but he's just really, almost the heart and soul of this deck. If it wasn't for Jouden, I don't think this deck would be nearly as good as it is. A spellcaster that saw special summons, he is just so necessary. And a single effect veiler, I like having a hand trap, and it's also a spellcaster that can be banished for life, or if at worst, if push comes to shove, I can normal summon it and waste spellbooks on it to get a Judgment search. Anyway, that was 11 monsters. For spell count, triple Judgment, triple Secrets, triple Spellbook Library of the Crescent. This card, it's really bad. It's a really, really bad card. You can't use it if you've activated a non-spellbook spell card this turn, and you can't use it if there are spellbook spell cards in your graveyard. But it does its job. If you open it turn 1, it's pretty useful, and if you don't open it turn 1, you usually don't care. And one thing I really like about it is that if you are getting a judgment search where you're getting a lot of searches, more so than your hand can support during the end phase, you can just add these and discard them to your graveyard. You have more fodder for stuff like Fate, and they're out of your deck, so you don't have to draw them later on when you're getting double draws off of your draw phase and tower. Triple Starhall. Starhall is amazing. It is one of the best spellbooks in my opinion. Just the boost that it gets makes Haiku huge, makes Jowden huge. It just does so much work against Mirror Match, especially in Mirror Match, but it also does work against Dragons because it makes your Haikus not bitches. Against Mirror Match, this is the best card in Mirror Match. If it's more important than having a judgment against your opponent. If you drop these against your opponent, it's really hard for them to be able to deal with your field. Both my Spellbook Mirror Matches, my goal was during my first turn to drop as many Starhalls as possible, and once I did that, they did not win. Once I have Starhalls on the field, your opponent does not win. Double Fate. I heard some people saying they like 3 of this card. I think it's a pretty big dead draw at 3, and you don't really need to have it in your hand at any specific time since you can search it out whenever you want. Double Master. Some people talk about 3 about this card too. I don't know what their problem is. Master is awful. Double Tower. Double Wisdom. I heard a lot of talk about only playing 1 Wisdom because people thought it was unnecessary. I don't really understand that logic because Dragons play a lot of spell and trap hate against spellbooks like Dark Hole and Forbidden Chalice and Breakthrough Skill. So I've never understood why people said this card is useless. Maybe it's just people in my local area and it's not something that's widespread, and if so, then I guess what I'm saying isn't very valid. But at least by that logic, the logic people have been trying to give me, I don't really agree with it. Dragons have a lot of spell hate, and this card is really good in the Mirror Match too, just especially for taking down power and for making your opponent's monsters dead to their own Starhalls. That was one way I beat one of my Spellbook opponents, was he attacked me with this huge Priestess because he had triple Starhall boosted. My Kaiju was triple boosted too with my 3 Starhalls, but it just wasn't big enough, so I Wisdomed his Priestess and he was dead. On a side note, Lance is also very useful against spells too. Double Power, Single Life, and Single Eternity, obviously. And as for non-spellbook spells, non-spellbook spells, Single Heavy Storm and Book of Moon, obviously. Heavy Storm, one of the most important cards this meta. Just against anything but Dragons it's useful, and even against Dragons it does a little bit of work game 1. And Book of Moon, I think one of the best spells this format. Just being able to book your Spellbook Magician so he can't get Veilered is all too important. That was 20 set spells, 24 spellbooks. Only 3 chaps I play are Triple Wabaku. I really like Wabaku. I find spellcasters on the field to be incredibly important. If you have a spellcaster on the field, you can do something with it. You can seed with it, you can synchro with it, you can attack with it while it's boosted with powers and Starhalls. Especially my Spellbook Magicians, I do not like letting my Spellbook Magicians die. I find them to be incredibly useful on the field. And obviously it stops OTKs and things like Dragons and Mermails. I usually side it out against spellbooks. It's not that useful against spellbooks, but I really enjoy Wabaku. It also has potential with set Spellbook Magician that's been faded or Book of Moons. If they attacked into it just to kill it, I can Wabaku it, it gets flipped, I get a search, and my Spellbook Magician stays on the field. I really like that play. Extra deck is totally unimportant. I don't even have my extra deck from Nationals constructed anymore. I'll just go over some of the main cards that are in there, the ones that are sometimes used. Digestive Phoenix, Gachi, and Shining Elf. Digestive Phoenix puts a lot of damage, so you don't have Starhalls. Shining Elf is a big spellcaster with a power, so that's why he's in there. And Gachi, I haven't gone into a Gachi in a very long time, but he's still in there because there's not a lot of requirements for the extra deck. I put a Pearl in there just to get over Ophion if I needed to drop Priestesses. And I also played a Cowboy, just in case I had the potential to burn for game. I said Hierophant of Prophecy. Him, along with Draco's Hat, are really important. Playing Priestesses to get rid of mainly Imperial Ironwall. Imperial Ironwall is a really annoying card. You can't Fate and you can't Justice, you can't banish with Priestess. It's just, most of your outs to cards that aren't monsters are gone. So, Hierophant of Prophecy and Draco Sat. They become really important ways of dealing with that. Some of the synchros I was playing, almost none of them are important. I played Armory Arm, Hyper Librarian, I also played a Cataster, Gaia Knight, and Black Rose, just for some variety in levels, just in case I had the potential to go into when they could possibly be useful. Important synchros I played were Colossal Fighter, Scrap Trident, and Crimson Blader. Crimson Blader obviously is too good at this game right now. Colossal Fighter has the potential to crash into a Crimson Blader and take it, and Scrap Trident being Scrap Trident. As for side deck, my side deck is almost the same. There's just one card change. I decided double Effect Failure for stuff like Mirror Match, stuff like Evil Swarms. Double Droll Mockbird for Mirror Match. Would have sided against Dark Worlds if I played it. My third Kaiku against Tridents and Spellbooks. My third Jowden against Spellbooks and Mermails. Triple Mat C against Tridents and Mermails if I was not going first. I did not keep this card in my deck if I wasn't going first. I don't like it if I'm going first, because I side out my Crescents. If I'm going first, I want my Crescents in my hand. If I'm not going first, I want my Mat Cs. Double MST, stuff like Mirror Match, Evil Swarms, Mermails. I decided a single Mirror Force. There was a lot of talk about this card the night before Nationals about how it was loaded in Spellbooks and how it was loaded in Dragons, because most people don't expect it. So I took it in, I tried it, and I really liked it. I don't even know if I was able to fit it in against my Spellbook matchups, but against my Dragon matchups, it did some good work. I won against the Dragon opponent because of this card, because he knew I had a Fate set, so he summoned a Reactant so he could try and kill my Jowden. I Mirror Forced it instead, so I was able to fade away his back row, which was really important to him beating me next turn. And then the last three cards I side now are 3 Vanity's Emptiness. Vanity's Emptiness is really good, especially against Mermails and Dragons. At Nationals, I didn't have my third Emptiness, so I was setting to try Fortress Tops. You can special summon him if your opponent summons 3 or more monsters per turn, or on their turn, and he is a quick effect monster with 2800 defense, and he's unaffected by card effects. So he's really good for stopping your opponent from being able to game you, and he has potential to synchro or exceed with if that's at all possible. His only downfall is that he loses 500 defense during each standby phase. He has 2800 defense to begin with, so he's pretty much useless as a wall after the first turn that you drop him. But even still, he outside Swift Scarecrow, he stops your opponent from OTKing you, and you can potentially synchro with him, which is why I tried it. And also because I didn't have the third Emptiness. If I had had the third Emptiness that day, I'd have played it. Anyway, that's mostly my build. Mostly one of the things I wanted to feature was this triple Priestess. I think it's really important to this deck. I think a lot of people underestimate a Priestess. I also think a lot of people don't really know how this deck should play. A lot of the Spellbook players I've played, either they were inexperienced with it, and they'd only been playing it for a few days, or they had been playing it with it for a while, but they weren't playing it properly. I've only played maybe 3 Spellbook players who knew the deck because they'd been playing it for a while and were actually good with it. Alright, anyway, that's my build. Triple Priestess, good stuff. Be sure to check out my friend Trey's channel, 719TCG. I have at least one more deck profile I'm going to try and post up. I'll let you guys check it out. It's pretty cool. Thanks. Excuse me. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.